Hi, my name is Phil Gardner and welcome to Fun with Boxes. Well, today in South Wales it is rather grim weather-wise. It is dark, it's raining, it's generally quite unpleasant. So I thought, what should I do to cheer myself up? Well, I thought I'd continue looking at my top 10 games through the alphabet. So today I'm looking at my favourite top 10 games beginning with the letter E. Now, if you haven't seen the previous videos, please do go and check them out and see if any of your favourite games are on there. But what about today's list of games beginning with E? Well, I must admit, putting it together was very difficult. Not because I didn't know what games were going to be in my top 10, but I couldn't find them throughout the house. This is the problem with having quite a large board game collection. Practically every room in the house, apart from the kitchen and bathroom, have board games in them, stacked up on top of each other, stacked up behind each other, and generally, I guess you could call them higgledy-piggledy. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. I'm not sure it makes any sense to me either. But it means that it took me a rather long time to collect all these games together. Now, as I always say, this is currently my top 10 board games beginning with the letter E as it stands right at this moment in time. And I will be giving some honourable mentions as well. So I wonder, are any of your favourite games beginning with E on this list? Well, let's jump in and take a look, shall we? Okay, coming in at number 10 is quite a new board game. Well, it certainly is a new board game for us. And that board game is Evacuation. And this is a game by Valdemir Sushi from Delicious Games. And it plays for 1 to 4 players and will take around 75 to 150 minutes. Obviously, they're depending on the player count. And I would say for 2 players, you probably are looking a good hour and a half to play the game. And as you can no doubt tell, this has a science fiction theme to it. And it also has a rather splendid game board, which as soon as I seen this advertised, it really caught my eye. It's such an interesting board design. And as the title suggests, this is all about evacuating from your home planet in order to survive. And you start the game on your home planet there, but life on this old world is being burnt away by increasing solar radiation. Your only hope is to get to a new world. But to survive, you must dismantle your economies and relocate them to the new world. Building up the new world requires resources. Maybe you can ship them in, or maybe you can get the planet to start producing resources for itself. But you have to work fast because you only have 4 rounds to complete this. And this game has a very unique feel to it because you're managing 2 worlds, slowly taking the resources from the old world, but as you build up the new world, you need to increase resources there. And it is a very, very clever puzzle of a game as you take all these various actions to try to strive for victory. It is a very good game. And the aim of the game is, believe it or not, to build 3 stadiums in your new world, because that's what people want. Entertainment. And you need to produce at least 8 food, 8 steel, and 8 energy. And you also want to evacuate as many people from your old world to your new world. And this is called the race mode of the game because there's a number of different ways that you can play it. But race mode is the only way we have played it so far. And we had an absolute blast. This is a very, very good game, but it's quite strategic and quite thinky. There are quite a number of actions and things to do in the game, and this is what really interests me in the game. It is a very, very good game from a very brilliant designer. So that's Evacuation, my number 10 board game beginning with the letter E. And coming in at number 9, we have a slightly smaller box game, and this is Electropolis. And Electropolis is a game for 2 to 4 players and will take you around 50 minutes to an hour to play. Electropolis is published by Homo Sapiens Lab, and it is a rather clever strategic city building board game. I do love this game, I must admit. We picked this up at the UK Games Expo, and I'm so glad that we did stop to have a look at these wonderful games that they had on display there, and picked this one out. And I've covered this on the channel, so if you'd like to know more information about it, please do take a look through and look that up. And in the game, you're a mayor of an expanding city, and you must solve the skyrocketing demand for electricity whilst balancing the support for your citizens. And it is a really, really clever, very satisfying sort of tile laying puzzle. And during the game, you'll gain a development card and several building tiles to build up your own city. Power plants and energy tiles are essential to generate electricity. Public facilities will increase your public support, and the air pollution prevention facilities help reduce the pollution. So in this game, you want to be generating the most electricity whilst trying to balance public support and the pollution of your city. After 8 rounds, the player with the most points wins. This is a wonderfully produced game that's quite easy to pick up and play, and you will have a great time playing this. So if you see this game at your local friendly game store or at a board game convention, I would strongly recommend picking this one up. It's a cracking game. That is Electropolis, my number 9. Well, coming in at number 8, we have the Exit games, or to be more accurate, Exit the Game. And Exit the Game, for those of you that may not have seen them, these are basically sort of escape rooms in a box. They're a one play only, where you have to try and solve the puzzle. So this is escape room games you can play at home. An unforgettable, unique gaming experience. You have to solve all the puzzles as fast as you can. And for this particular one, Shadows over Middle-earth, can you help save Middle-earth by the end of the game? And these games are super clever. I can't say too much about them because obviously they're a one-play game where you will be doing all manner of things to the components inside. You could be cutting them up, folding them, setting fire to them. You don't actually set fire to them. Well, at least not yet anyway. I don't think they've come out with one where you have to set fire to it to solve a puzzle. And you could even be utilising the actual game box in some way. So basically anything goes with these. As you open up the box, take a look at everything and read through everything carefully, and you will have a tremendous challenging time. And the games do come with a level code on them from novice to expert, so I would suggest you try the level 1 novice games first, and once you get a feel for the games then progress onwards and upwards. And these games will take you anything from an hour to 2 hours to play, and they really are fantastic. Exit the Game. These are designed by Inka and Marcus Brand and published by the wonderful Cosmos Games. And there are a great number of these games that you can play. These are some of the ones we've yet to play, and we've played quite a few already. But like I say, they're one-off games. Once you've played it, that's it. It's pretty much destroyed. So you can't re-gift these to somebody else. But I tell you what, they are completely worth the money. They're quite inexpensive little games, and I tell you what, for the enjoyment and puzzle and satisfaction these games can give you, as well as frustration, make them well worth the money. I would highly recommend any of the Exit games. They really are terrific games. But not only that, every year they do an Exit advent calendar. That blew my mind when I first seen that, and it also blew my mind when I first played it. Every day you open the door and there's a tiny puzzle inside, and just very much like the Exit games themselves, you could be doing anything to that advent calendar in search of clues. They are absolutely fantastic, and every Christmas I must get myself a new Exit advent calendar game. So there you go, Exit. As you can tell, I really love these games and would highly recommend them to anybody, and they are currently at number 8 on my top 10 list of board games beginning with the letter E. And now coming in at number 7 is a rather wonderful game from Paolo Mori, and that is Ethnos from Simon Games. This is a cracking game, and some people have accused it of being rather bland, but to me that's only because we live in an age of super deluxified board games that sometimes really are way over the top. Style over substance, people could argue, and while Ethnos may not be the most attractive looking game, it is absolutely superb. So don't let that put you off. There has been a reprint of this recently, but it's called something else. If I remember, I'll put the caption on the screen to tell you what that game is. But if you can get hold of the original copy for a reasonable price, I would recommend getting this. But otherwise, of course, you'd have to pick up the new reprint. So what is Ethnos? Well, players complete to become the next lord of Ethnos, and whoever controls more kingdoms and recruits more allies than they rivals will claim the most victory points and the title of leader. And that is Ethnos, really. It's a very simple area control game for 2 to 6 players, and it will take you around 45 minutes to an hour to play. And to be honest, once you're used to playing it, especially with 2 players, you can definitely get a game of this completed within that time frame. As I say, do not be put off by those that say the game looks a bit bland. It really doesn't, and I'm sure it looked very nice when it first came out. But regardless, it is a rather fantastic game that I would highly recommend. And that's Ethnos, my number 7 board game beginning with the letter E. And I guess I should stop saying that I highly recommend these games, because obviously I do. They are in my top 10. So you can take that as read from now on. But of course, that won't stop me from saying I highly recommend them, because I get a little carried away. And now on to the next game. This is a rather heavy game, because I've packed it with a lot of expansions. And this game is Eldritch Horror, a board game of global mystery for 1 to 8 players. And this is published by Fantasy Flight Games. And it's a game designed by Corey Konitsa and Nikki Valens. And it is, of course, inspired by the Arkham Horror series of board games. This is a cooperative adventure, very similar to the original Arkham Horror games, but this one takes place over the whole world. And it's 1926, and an elder being of unfathomable power threatens to awaken from its long slumber, bringing death and madness in its wake. Strange cults and unspeakable monsters wreak havoc on every continent as the fabric of reality tears itself apart. And of course it would, wouldn't it? Because it's all based on the Cthulhu mythos. And it is a rather splendid game. Very good. It can be quite a tough game, which is what you want in a cooperative game. And There is a ton of content for this game to keep it fresh and exciting. And if you want to play a Cthulhu Mythos H.P. Lovecraft inspired board game, then I would highly recommend you check out Eldritch Horror. This game has a special place in our board game collection because when we first started out in the board game hobby, we gravitated to Arkham Horror and the Cthulhu Mythos, and we had such fun playing the original Arkham Horror games that as soon as Eldritch Horror came out, it was a must-get, and I've enjoyed every game we've played. So there you go, that's Eldritch Horror, my number 6 board game beginning with the letter E. And now let's pause for a moment and take a look at 5 honourable mentions, because of course doing a top 10 list is very, very tricky indeed, because you always want to add certain games on there, and of course there's only room for 10. Well, my first 3 honourable mentions all have the word escape in them, and the first one is a game from Osprey Games, and it's called Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. And this is an absolutely brilliant game. It is a very, very clever sort of hidden deduction game for 2 to 8 players, which will run for about 20 to 45 minutes. And it's a game of strategy and bluff set on a badly damaged deep space research station. And each player's identity and position is kept secret, and you'll need to interpret movements and behaviors of the other players to learn where and what they really are. So you guessed it, some of you will be the human crew and some of you the ravenous aliens. And the crew will of course be trying to save their lives by escaping the derelict spaceship, and of course the aliens will be wanting to eat them all. This is the Ultimate Edition, and it is a rather wonderfully produced game with these dry wipe erasable boards for you to plot and make various annotations and move, and it is very, very, very clever indeed. Oh, and it is a Shut Up and Sit Downs recommends as well. So there you go. And it's almost like a game of battleships, if you will. You have your map here where you will start the game, and you'll be trying to get to various exits as the human player, and you will be making various annotations and trying to plot your way through to the exit without giving away your location for the aliens to come after you and of course eat you. Escape from Aliens in Outer Space is a rather clever little unique game. If you can get hold of the Ultimate Edition, I would highly recommend you do that. And if you do like games with hidden movement, this is well worth checking out. It is great fun and quite straightforward to play. So I'd recommend checking out this game. Well, next we have another game with Escape in the title. And this is a big box game. This is from Queen Games, and it's the big box version of Escape, the Curse of the Temple. Ah, wow. And this is, as you can see, it is a very big box. A very big box indeed, because this comes with the basic game and 8 expansion modules and also 10 mini modules called Queenies. If you like Indiana Jones, then you're going to love this game. You really are. It's a game for 1 to 6 players, and it is a real-time game. Oh, how stressful and how much fun. And in Escape, the Curse of the Temple, this is a real-time board game, and instead of playing the game in rounds, each player will roll 5 dice as quickly and as often as they can without waiting for their teammates. And players only have 10 minutes to escape the collapsing temple, so you can't dawdle. Every second you delay brings you a step closer to being entombed. Some chambers contain magic gems, and players must use their dice to activate as many gems as possible in order to break the curse blocking the exit. And this real-time adventure game comes with a CD soundtrack as well to get you into the theme and thrill of the game. And twice during the game, a gong will sound, heralding a countdown. So you have to hurry back to the starting chamber because it's the only place that is safe while everything else is collapsing around you. It is wonderful, frantic, dice rolling fun, and I would highly recommend this game. It's an absolute blast. Like most real-time games, it can be very stressful, but in a fun way. So there you go. Escape: The Curse of the Temple from Queen Games. And the third and last game with escape in its title is a classic from my childhood, and that is Escape from Colditz. Let me take the lid off this here to show you the game box there. I'm not sure if any of you are old enough to have played this game in your youth, but this one was a classic game, and it was one that I used to go to my friend's house when I was young because he had a copy of the game and we would play it, and we had an absolute blast with it. It was really great fun, and I would really look forward to visiting him just to play this game, as well as his Atari video games machine. That was cracking too. The old days, eh? And this game, when I think about it and look back on it, actually had some, almost you could say, deluxe Kickstarter components in it. And that's what really intrigued me and really embraced the theme of the game when I was younger. Because the game comes with some replicas of various documents and even comes with a prisoners' parcels, British Red Cross and Order of St John War Organisation box there, which is quite amazing really. It's quite ahead of its time to actually include things like this in a game, things that we would take for granted in the modern board gaming world. And there's the game board in all its glory. Hours and hours and hours of fun I used to have with this game. And it has been reprinted recently as well, so why not take a look out for that? So that's Escape from Colditz. And now my fourth honourable mention is Euphoria: Build a Better Dystopia from Stonemaier Games. And this is designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Alan Stone. And we'd owned this game for quite some time. And for some reason, they'd never really got round to playing it. We, of course, love Scythe and games like Viticulture and a number of other games from Jamie. But Euphoria, it just sat on the shelf for many a year, until one day we picked it up and played it, and I tell you what, we really enjoyed it. It's another one of those games that sit on our shelves of opportunity that we think, why on earth did it sit on there for all that time? It is a cracker of a worker placement game where you have dice as your workers. And it's a game with 4 distinct societies, each of them waiting for you to rewrite history. What are you willing to sacrifice to build a better dystopia? It's a game for 2 to 6 players and will take around an hour to play. It's got a wonderful looking board, a lot of interesting mechanics and some wonderful custom dice as well. That's Euphoria from Stonemaier Games, a cracking little game. And then finally we have Echidna Shuffle. This could be my number 1 board game, but today it's an honourable mention. It is fantastically cute. Look at that. Look at it. Absolutely fantastically cute. And the game is, of course, a children's game, but I would argue it's an adult game because it's a game I feel that has been made especially just for me. And why do I like it so much? Well, of course, it's because of these fantastic miniatures. Look at them. Possibly the finest board game miniatures in existence. Oh, what a cracking game. I literally want to play this now. I need to stop filming and play this game. Well, that was absolutely fantastic. 12 friendly echidnas are roaming around the forest floor, happily giving bugs a ride home. You move the echidnas from space to space, picking up bugs along the way, and the first player to get 3 bugs home wins. It's as simple as that. It's glorious. It looks fantastic on the game table, and it plays extremely well. And it's a game for 2 to 6 players and will last from 10 to 20 minutes. And it is 10 to 20 minutes of absolute fun. That is Echidna Shuffle, secretly my #1 board game beginning with the letter E. Shh, don't tell anyone. Okay, and now back onto my top 10 list. So let's take a look at what game is number 5. Well, coming in at number 5 is a fairly new game, and this is another game from Stonemaier Games, and this is Expeditions. This is a cracker of a game, and one I believe I've covered on the channel. And it is, of course, as you can no doubt tell by the wonderful artwork, it is a sequel to Scythe, one of the finest board games. Tremendous. And it is, of course, designed by Jamie Stegmaier with art and world building by Jacob Rozaliski. And it is a competitive game for 1 to 5 players and will last between an hour and an hour and a half. And as you can see, the artwork is absolutely fantastic. And this is the Ironclad edition, which comes with the metal miniatures. And if you check out my video, you'll be able to see exactly what they look like. They are absolutely fantastic. I should put a picture on the screen here for you. So Expeditions is set in the world of Scythe. But what exactly is it? Well, it's a competitive card-driven engine-building game of exploration. And you play cards to gain power, guile and unique worker abilities. Move your mech to mysterious locations and gain cards found among the tiles. Use workers, items, meteorites and quests to enhance your mech. And use power and guile to vanquish corruption from the land. This is a cracking little game, and there's an expansion for it which has come out very recently, and that fits into the main box of the game. So we got everything all in one lovely edition. I would highly recommend Expeditions. It's set in a world that I absolutely adore and features some truly fantastic artwork, and the metal mechs are something to behold. They truly are exceptional. So Expeditions, really enjoy this one. This is one that I would like to give a go solo at some point, so I really must make some time to get that done. So there we go, number 5, Expeditions by Jamie Stegmaier. Absolutely cracking. And coming in at number 4, another large box game, which is very heavy, and that is Escape Plan from Vita Lacerda. And this, as I always say, is a brilliant game. Why would it not be a brilliant game? It's number 4 in my top 10. It's I think this is quite an accessible game from Vita Lacerda, who's normally known for his very complex Euro, heavily mechanical driven games. And I love the Vita Lacerda games. I really do. Escape Plan, like I say, I find this a little more accessible. To me, The Gallerist is a very accessible game, but I guess that's because we've played an awful lot of board games. But I find this game a little more accessible than The Gallerist. It's a very quick to play game too. And of course, this is published by Eagle Griffin Games, and it has the rather splendid artwork by Ian O'Toole, who does the graphic design as well. And I must admit, Ian O'Toole excels at the graphic design in board games. So what is Escape Plan all about? Well, you've done a bank job and you are laying low while the heat cools down. But most of your cash has been hidden away for safekeeping, and the rest has been laundered through various businesses around town. Everything was going to plan until the cops get an anonymous tip. Accusations are made, fingers are pointed, and after a heated argument, you decide to go your separate ways. And before you know it, SWAT teams are shutting down all the routes out of the city. And soon there won't be any way out, but that never stopped you before. If you really want to escape, you're going to need a plan, a good one, and one that will allow you to get back your fair share of money and maybe a little more. So, can you escape from the city with the most money before the police shut it down? This is a great game for 1 to 5 players, and it will last around an hour to 2 hours. And it is, of course, a fantastic high quality production of a game. It's really, really tremendous. So that's Escape Plan. Highly recommended. I've said it again. Of course, highly recommended. That's Escape Plan, my number 4 game, beginning with the letter E. And at number 3, we have, of course, the fantastic Everdell. And this is the Everdell Collector's Edition that came out originally on Kickstarter quite a number of years ago. And this is a game for 1 to 4 players and will last around 40 to 80 minutes. And it is a rather wonderful, charming, beautiful game. It really is fantastic. It's quite straightforward, though you have to pay attention to the cards and how they interact with each other. And it's a game that when I first played it, I found the number of actions in total that you take in the game to be very limited, and it seemed to be a very slow way of getting started in the game. But as you play the game, it develops and builds and builds and builds, and is very, very satisfying indeed. I love the artwork in this game, and I'm sure you will too. It's by the hugely talented Andrew Bosley, whose artwork now you will find on a lot of new board games, and this one is truly excellent, absolutely fantastic. We do, of course, have the big box version, which is above me, the big box collector's edition, but I didn't want to pull that down in case I had a hernia, because it is one of the biggest board game boxes we've got. But to me, Everdell needs no further explanation. It is an absolutely fantastic, fantastic game. This is another game that I honestly would not mind just setting up and playing now. A lovely game, and fully deserves to be at number 3. And at number 2, we have another game really that I feel does not need much of an introduction, because that is the rather wonderful game from Inside Up Games, and that is Earth. This is an absolutely fantastic, fantastic game. It's for 1 to 5 players and will take around 45 minutes to 90 minutes to play. And oh my goodness, this is truly fantastic. It gives me the feel of terraforming Mars, but on our own planet Earth. Oh, it is beautiful. The cards are fantastic. The playing pieces, everything about it is absolutely brilliant. And Earth is an open world engine builder of a game, like I say, for 1 to 5 players, with simple rules but many strategic possibilities. And what you'll be doing is creating your own island, a 4x4 tableau of self-supporting growth, expansion and supply, where even the cards you don't need become compost for future gain. And this features a simultaneous prosperity. And what that means is when the active player chooses an action on their turn, all other players get to do that action, but a minor version of it. So this means that you spend more time playing in this game than waiting for the next player to take their turn. It's really, really rather satisfying. It's a lovely engine building puzzle of a game, and it's one that I would highly recommend, and that's Earth, my number 2 board game beginning with the letter E. And my number 1 board game beginning with the letter E, well, that is Endless Winter. A game that we were super excited to get when we backed this originally. It's from Fantasia Games, and let's just check how many players is it. And it's a game from 1 to 4 players that will take you between an hour and 2 hours to play, and it is an hour or 2 of absolute joy. It is really brilliant. It's a Euro-style game that combines worker placement and deck building in an innovative way. And each round, players send their tribe members to spaces on the board and pay for actions by playing cards and spending resources. Unplayed cards can be saved for an end of round phase where they will be simultaneously revealed to determine the new player order and trigger a series of effects. And after 4 brisk rounds, the player with the most prosperous tribe wins. It's a really brilliant, clever design with some fantastic game components and miniatures. And over the course of the games, you'll be migrating, settling new lands, establishing cultural traditions, hunt megafauna, and build everlasting megaliths. It really is a tremendous game with a number of game mechanics all going on at the same time. There are a number of expansions for this too, which I believe I've managed to fit all of them into this box. At least I think I have. It really is a glorious game, and of course, as you can no doubt tell, it features the wonderful Miko artwork. Very distinctive, very excellent. I really do enjoy playing this game. This was well worth every penny of its crowdfunding. Me and Lisa really enjoy this one. And again, this is the first time so far in filming these top 10 lists where I picked up a few games and started talking about them and instantly wanted to play them. So I think that gives you a real good indication of just how much I think of these games. Really brilliant. And as always, any game in my top 10 list, obviously I would want to play that. But my goodness, today, looking through these board games, there's been quite a few of them that I just wanted to stop filming and just set it up and play it already. Fantastic stuff. So there you go, Endless Winter, my number 1 game, beginning with the letter E. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed taking a look at my top 10 board games beginning with the letter E. I wonder if any of your favourite games made the list. And also, I wonder, are there any games that you feel should have made the list? So please do let me know in the comments below. And indeed, why not pop your own top 10 list there into the comments for me to take a look at. It could be that I've overlooked something. Who knows? But again, for these lists, these are only games that we own and have played. So that's one thing to take into account. Well, like I say, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Please do click the old like button and hit that subscribe button too, if you would not mind. That would be fantastic and really help for the channel to grow. And in the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.